breaking news. Philip Rivers is going to always want to play again. Talk to any retired football player. They're always going to want to play again. For the older football, they don't go by what he says. Philip Rivers struggled when he did play. Talking about coming back 2 years out. I remember this. I realized that, and hockey players aren't a whole lot different than football players, but the football players are worse. You got to largely drag them kicking and screaming from the field. And I remember this, Dupes. You remember the old swamp dog, Ron Estee? I just talked to his wife a couple weeks ago. He was the defensive line coach for the Riders for years, and he felt like family to me. And his wife's Debbie, and they're living down there in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And he won. He was on those Eskimo teams, the 5 in a row, 70s as well, iconic Edmonton team. So the people in Edmonton would know the name Ron Estee. He's in the Eskimos Hall of Fame, Canadian Football Hall of Fame, LSU Tigers Hall of Fame. He's in every Hall of Fame. And he was the guy that talked like the water boy in the water boy. Who was the coach you couldn't understand? Was it the coach? Bobby Boucher? Swamp, yeah. We could never understand him. He had this southern drawl. We couldn't understand him. But I remember one time, Estee, when he was with us with Saskatchewan, he said he would cut one arm, we'll win one point. We're like, what? You put subtitles under that? And I can't remember. One of the other coaches said he'd cut his arm off to have just one more play.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Now.
So this was my weekend, by the way. This is why I'm so happy. I bought goalie equipment from Canadian Tire, street hockey gear.
The one question I asked, were you playing with a rubber puck at least?
No, of course not.
You had street hockey pads on and no protection other than
I wasn't even wearing a can.
How about that?
And I went, stack my pads. I'm like, whoa, I got nothing on down here. I never thought that I would be leaving my pins. Seriously.
Wow.
And no mask.
Talk about putting them on the table.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I remember those days. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Brand new week coming at you live across Canada on Game Plus TV in 31 U.S. states. Good intro there, Jordan. I was actually thinking, should I get my skates shipped down here from Canada or just go buy a new pair? I have not come across an answer for that yet. But hello, it's episode number 1083 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. I am here in South Florida. I'm one half of your favorite daytime sports talk show. The other half is in Candle Lake, Saskatchewan. He is in the God's country, northern Saskatchewan, hockey country. Although all the hockey people have gone back to hockey, Moose is up there in Lake Country. How you doing, Moose?
I'm doing great. Good memory on Candle Lake.
Oh, listen, I used to live up there, as you know. That is the thick of hockey country. But as I said, the hockey people have gone back to hockey. Hey, do you have the whole place to yourself, basically, at Candle Lake? Is that the sense that I'm getting up there?
Pretty much. Boats are coming out of the water, and you're right. All the hockey people are leaving town.
All right. Well, I hope you're ready to talk some fantastic hot sports topics over the next 2 hours. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan, and then we will definitely get down to business. I'll tell you that TSN Ottawa's Claire Hanna is going to be with us in hour one and in hour two. One of the top hockey insiders on television, Craig Button, will be with us, the former general manager of the Calgary Flames and assistant GM of the Dallas Stars. Craig Button with us from Calgary in hour two, which, by the way, he's very excited that we are now on his television. He's one of the 2 million new homes. I don't have my bell handy. Where we are now on Shaw Rogers Cable. So welcome on inside. Number 1.1 of the Quick Six. We're going to open up with baseball. We don't talk a lot about it today, any day actually, but Matt Chapman's walk-off double gave the Toronto Blue Jays a 3-2 win Sunday to complete a 3-game weekend sweep of the Boston Red Sox. The tight series wrapped up a 10-game homestand that saw the Jays go 6-4. Hear that, Moose? It was a tight sweep. It happens. Toronto now holds the second American League wildcard berth. Jays off today before opening a 3-game series on Tuesday in at Yankee Stadium. But for what a lot of you have come here today for, not all of you, but a lot of you, point two, the NHL regular season does not open until October the 10th, but there's already been a coaching change. Mike Babcock resigned as head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets Sunday after just 2 months on the job. The team announced Babcock's departure following an investigation by the NHL Players Association into his conduct involving invading players' privacy. Associate coach Pascal Vincent was named Babcock's replacement. Now, clearly a lot of people getting very testy about this. We're going to settle in and spend some time. Did I mention that we're on the radio, WQEE Atlanta? Shout out Rhino Radio. We are Atlanta's NHL show. Podcast and YouTube Live as well. I'll be honest, when Darren Dreger tweeted, I think Friday morning, TSN's #1 hockey insider, that Bab's job was in jeopardy due to this investigation, I kind of got the sense it was leaning this way, but I didn't think it would happen this fast, that Babs is out of a job. And for those that don't know, Paul Bissonnette broke this story on the Spit and Chicklets broadcast that the Columbus players are upset that Mike Babcock asked to see their phones. We don't know. This is very important to point out, Darren. I don't know, and I darn sure assume you don't know all the ins and outs of what went on in Columbus, nor in that investigation. All we know is what's being reported, and then the teams and the people need to understand that's all we can go by. We are very big in Ohio on the Buckeye cable carrier on Game Plus television. We got a lot of people watching in Ohio, they tell me. So, though, shock, when it came across my phone on Sunday that Mike Babcock was stepping down. I got a lot of thoughts, and we'll get to those. I'll just tell people the text line's open, 902-518-3033 for EMJ Marketing, or you can write in on these streaming chat feeds as well. I'll ask you, what did you first think? Which, by the way, Mike Babcock had a cabin up very close to where you are, Emma Lake, neighboring lake from Candle Lake up there. So, hey, he might have actually walked on water at Emma Lake. I'm not sure. But that's how much they think of him up there. So there's a lot of people very upset that Babs stepped down. What do you think?
Yeah, there is. But at the same time, there's two sides to this, or probably more than two sides to it. The first is he wants to coach his way, right? And now his way has worked in the past, and there's also negative effects to it. So he obviously wasn't changing a whole lot from his way of coaching. It's, being tough on people, putting them in uncomfortable situations and trying to get the best out of them. He's crossed the line a few times, and we've seen the results of that. So he didn't change on this, and he's out. Doesn't want to be a distraction. So there's two things. One is from the Blue Jackets, who knew who they were hiring, obviously had conversations about coaching style and those things, and decided to not stick by him or through this, right? You kind of knew who you were hiring. But the second is, in the release, there was no apology, right, from Babcock. Just don't want to be a distraction, so I'm stepping down. So it's a I don't know, tough situation, but I do think this is the end for him in the National Hockey League.
Interesting you say that. From the audience, Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says Babcock will coach in the NHL again, but his days as a hot property are over. Meanwhile, T. Will writes in and says Babs wants to coach his way. Unfortunately, no one else wants him to coach his way. When the gentleman says he'll coach in the NHL again, no, he won't. He's never going to go into the NHL as an assistant. He's not the type of guy that can be a number two. It's over. So you made a really good point there about changing. I'm willing to give anybody a second chance. We've said it how many times on this show. I've had 2, 3, 4, 5 chances. But I did finally change. Saw my good friend Jason Gregor, Edmonton 1440 Sports Radio, saying right there in the statement of his resignation, he never apologized. Like you just said, I can't and won't say whether I even think Mike Babcock's a narcissist or not. I don't know him well enough. I've never worked on the same team, and I certainly haven't worked for him. I don't know him well enough. But one thing about narcissists is they continue the same patterns throughout their life in various relationships. And here's one. As soon as I heard he was doing this in Toronto with the players, now he's doing it in Columbus, the signs aren't very good. So I guess my point is I'm not going to stand here. It's in my commentary, by the way. If people, came here and expected me to say, Babs was canceled, this is BS, the players are babies. No, I'm not taking that stance. Even Babs' closest friends have said to him, bro, you need to slow your roll. You need to look in the mirror. You need to chill. Nope. And the 5 or 6 interviews that he's done on this show, which, by the way, tells us something, right? He has always been great to us. He's never apologized or said he was going to change. Now, having said all of that, I'm really interested to get Craig Button's take on this when he joins us in hour 2. He's a hockey man, Craig, if there ever was a hockey man. I want to know what he thinks. Because did you see the comments, Darren, on our Facebook page, the Rod Pedersen Show Facebook page? People writing in going, what do you think of your bestie now? Thought you guys were BFFs. No, because I had a meeting of our club this morning, Darren. And you know how you're not in our club, but you know how the people are that are in my club. You know some of the members of our club. I stood on the front pad of the clubhouse, and I said to a guy who was from Toronto, he's following the situation closely, I said, I only form an opinion of somebody based on how they treat me. Baz has been great to me. The guy goes, that's all you can do. And to not go any further down this road other than that's what sports is. And I've never really worked in any other industry, but I can tell you the recovery business is not the backstabbing nature. Because I can tell you, I got people calling me up from Edmonton saying, why would you defend Victor Cui? He's blah, 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 blah. People in the Calgary media, why would you be friends with this person? He's blah, 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 blah. If I listened to everybody, I wouldn't talk to anybody. So anyways, do you know what I mean? So, and, and with, it's that. And people talk noise about me. And the good thing is I've got 30 years in the business to be able to back up that I'm a pretty good guy that knows what I'm doing and I treat people right. Has Babs always treated people right? I'm not sure. There was a time that I didn't, but I did change. So other than that, I'm about ready to move on. Other than the point of my commentary today, and I want yours on this, is Paul Bissonnette and Spittin' Chicklets got Mike Babcock fired before he coached the game. That should tell us a lot about the media right now.
Yeah, and the players, too. They have a lot more control and power than they ever have. If they're not happy, they have an opportunity to speak up, and once it's out in the media, what's bigger than all of this, than the way Babcock treats the players, than the way that they feel, is you don't want a distraction when you're a franchise, especially when you're a struggling franchise that's got some good young players and you're trying to turn the corner. You don't want any distractions, especially in the press. As an ownership, you want everything to be clean, void of controversy. So you don't want guys around that are going to, potentially upset sponsors or upset season ticket holders or community, events and things like that. So that's as big as any of this in the whole situation.
John Ohm says BS on Babs. Wow. See, there's a lot of opinions on this, for and against. He's one of those lightning rod type figures, Mike Babcock. So people have cool guy, that's the guy's name, watching on the streaming, writes in and says, you want to get to know somebody, go for coffee or a drink. Don't abuse your power as a coach to make players uncomfortable. That goes back to, we don't know the ins and outs of what happened. If he said, hey, because it kind of seems like he was like, hey, show me some photos from the summer on your phone. I want to know what kind of guy you are. That's really weird. And we talked about that last week. Who does that? That's weird. And if that was what was going on in Toronto and the players didn't like it and then he tried it again in Columbus, that's just weird. I guess my point, because we're going to move on here for the football people that showed up today to watch, is that a podcast can get somebody fired. A potential Hall of Fame coach. 2 Olympic golds, a Stanley Cup. I did think Babs was going to the Hall of Fame, but he won't now, and that'll drive him crazy. I would think, because of the woke nature of the Hockey Hall of Fame, they can't put Babs in now. He's too controversial. Same as Theron Fleury. And I would think that would drive Babs crazy, because we don't want any controversy. And just with Pat McAfee, the guy that wears a muscle shirt every day on the air, that's what the media is now. It's podcasts and, quite frankly, in a lot of ways, ex-players that are really good at what they do. Pat McAfee's that, and Biz Nasty's that. And the fact that Biz still has a spot on the NHL on TNT panel tells me they don't have a big problem with what he's doing. What does it tell you?
Yeah, and let's not forget he was right in all of this. Because if there was nothing to it, Babs would still be coaching. And we said this last week. We'll know if it was right or wrong by the fact that is he going to be on the bench or not? You know, so he's not, and Biz was right. And, you know, is it Biz's obligation to protect the players? Well, he's taking on that role, and I think the players are probably pretty appreciative of that.
This is quite interesting. I'll get my gong out in a second, but he said Babs should take it to the courts, in my opinion. Rich in Edmonton says, I blame Barstool Sports. For what? Launching podcasts like Spit and Chicklets? Like, hey, it's given the players a voice, and to be honest, stuff that Babs has done historically, or a lot of those old school coaches, is wrong. What do you mean you blame them? How we got here, it's taken me years in recovery to realize this, and I transfer that to life. How we got here doesn't really matter. The point is we're here. So now, how are we going to deal with it? Because we're not putting Spit and Chicklets back in the bottle, and the genie's not going back in the bottle, or any of the other shows that have become so popular from Barstool Sports. They've been influence. Listen, I do want to get to the football. It'll be all football next segment. It's in my commentary today. Go read it at rodpeterson.com. True power is influence, and you know that, Darren, because I think you're the first one to tell me that. I've had team presidents and owners come to me and say, you need to do this. And I've told them, you need to F off because I'm not doing it because it's wrong. They don't have power. Of course, I ended up getting shown the door. But they didn't have enough power to make me do something that I knew was wrong or was a lie. Biz and Pat McAfee have influence. They didn't ask for it. They just got it. You know, jerk presidents, GMs, coaches, and owners that demand respect because of the title I have. You're not getting it because you're a jerk. And those are the people that perennially lose. So, anyways, I'll tell you when we come back, we'll take a look at, obviously, Week 2 in the NFL. We'll look at Week 15 in the CFL. We'll talk about college and the rage. How prime is the number one topic in America today. Forget about the NFL, at least from what I've seen. And a Canada West recap, too. And, Connor Bedard had a hattie. Of course he did. We'll be talking about NHL rookie camps on the weekend as well. We'll be right back on the Game Plus television network, where we're live all across Canada and 31 U.S. states. WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody. Our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room Thursday through Saturday in Calgary, 12 to 8 p.m. That's noon to 8 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, they have their own bar right on the grounds with the RP show, which they show on the big screens there at Common Crown Brewing. Check them out at commoncrown.ca, 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. And let's bring the Moose back in just ahead of switching over to football. I forgot to tell you the poll for our friends at Key Auto Group, and that is, should Mike Babcock have had to resign as head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets? It's brought to you by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Just a quick check of the Twitter. 71% on Twitter saying, yes, he should have been forced to resign. So how about that? What are they saying on YouTube, Clark? Do we have a closer to 50-50 there? Okay, thank you. I'm not done, nor is Darren on the Babs thing. We'll come back on it, but it is September after all. Ball for all. Point 3 of our quick 6. Dakota Prescott threw for 2 touchdowns. Zach Wilson had 3 picks at his first start after Aaron Rodgers' season-ending Achilles tendon injury, and the Dallas Cowboys crushed the New York Jets 30-10. Feels great. Secondary poll question today was going to be, do you actually believe Aaron Rodgers will return in time for the playoffs after his Achilles tendon injury and surgery? It's a trick question, Moose, because they're not going to make the playoffs. So it doesn't matter. But do you believe that Aaron Rodgers could be ready by December?
I do. He's an alternative medicine kind of guy. He's a guy who would take chances and find a way to come back, and I think he would. But you're right, they're not getting there.
In the late game, the Miami Dolphins improved to 2-0 with a wild 24-17 win over the New England Patriots, who slipped to 0-2. That's a battle of the AFC East. Patriots, have they been mathematically accounted out of it yet? Jets are at least 1-1. But those are the 2 games I'm following. That came up in the sports break. I didn't even have to go digging for it per se. Cowboys won, Dolphins won, life's good. But your Titans are 0-2. The Chargers covered, correct? That was a toughie. How did you feel about that game and the rest of week 2?
You might have missed the end of that one. The Titans won
Did the Titans come back and win? They came back and won?
In overtime. They won.
Oh, I turned it off.
Catch by DeAndre Hopkins set up a game-winning field goal by Nick Folk, who they got from the Patriots. We're feeling pretty good. Top of the division. That's okay. But the other game I was in, the Bengals are 0-2, losing more in a game where Lamar jumps back, Mark Andrews is back, and so there's a little concern right now in Cincinnati.
I tell you what, so drove back from Estero, Florida on Sunday from the NHL Rookie Showcase, the Southeast Rookie Showcase. Had complete NFL out of my mind. And I flipped on the television, and it was near the end of the Cowboys-Jets game. And from what I saw, the Chargers were up like 5. And I'm like, the line was 3. Chargers going to cover. Click, flipped over. I think that was around the time that I did. So that is an amazing ending. Now, to the Canadian Football League, where we are the CFL's favorite show. And folks, you can write in with your NFL comments if you want, but we've got a lot of football to get to here. And by the way, Claire Hanna's on the way from TSN Ottawa, and Craig Button in hour 2. But the BC Lions set a franchise record as we look to the CFL Saturday night by overcoming a 19-point fourth-quarter deficit to beat the Ottawa Redblacks 41-37. Lions receiver Lucky Whitehead caught a touchdown pass in the end zone with 22 seconds to go to cap the comeback. Earlier in the day, the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Hall of Fame game enjoyed a field day in the interception department. Zach threw 3, Caleros, and upset the visiting Winnipeg Blue Bombers 29-23. And while we're at it, might as well talk about what happened Friday. Boris Beatty's 38-yard field goal in the dying seconds of the fourth quarter gave the Toronto Argonauts a wild 23-20 victory over the Montreal Alouettes. And with the win, the Argonauts clinched first in the East at 11-1. And in the late game, the Edmonton Elks continued their hot streak, dumping the Saskatchewan Roughriders 36-27 on a late Trey Ford touchdown. The victory is the 4th in 5 games for the Elks. And the loss dropped the Riders to 6-7. Their playoff standing is now in question. I immediately, Darren, wanted to jump to the Ottawa Redblacks, but I'm going to spend more time next segment with Claire Hanna on that because she's in Ottawa. Other than to say their fans are very upset, burning their season tickets, filling the open line shows. Sucks to be them. We've all been there. And the only way out of it is to keep chopping wood. And dare I say, other than the Argos, the Edmonton Elks are like the hottest team in the CFL. So I'm obviously very happy for the green and gold. Man, your take on week 15 in the CFL.
I am both feet inside the bandwagon of the Edmonton Elks. I don't want to start talking about a Grey Cup because that's kind of crazy when you look at what Toronto's doing. And even Winnipeg, even though they lost, BC's very good, all the other teams. But if they somehow get into the playoffs and continue to play hot and then get to a Grey Cup, maybe even win it, it would be the greatest story in CFL history to come from 0-9 all the way back with a Canadian quarterback coming out of Canadian college football. It's just unbelievable, but they're doing it. And they have this attitude of never quitting, never folding the tent, and it shows with what they're doing in fourth quarters. They do need to start games a little better, but man, it's fun to watch.
It's the thing about football, man. I got football people from down here that they follow the CFL a lot. I swear, put it on my tombstone. We're into the 100 of stories now. 101st story of my tombstone, Darren. Rod said the CFL was more respected in America than it is in Canada. That's a fact because this is a football country. But I had a guy in Alabama named Ron. He's a big Chris Jones fan. He's like, Rod, do you think Edmonton's going to make the playoffs? With Hamilton winning on Saturday, that the crossover may not happen, right? You got to finish third in the West to make the playoffs. That's what it looks like. But if there was anybody that could make history And you said it last week, I believe, that the Edmonton Elks could now be the remember when team. Remember when they went 0-9 and went all the way to the Grey Cup? I mean, flukes happen. Toronto's the ideal team. It's like, it's not how you start. You know, they say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But no, the real champion teams, it's like it's how you start, it's how you finish, and it's how you play in the middle, too. And Toronto's doing that. But if Edmonton gets hot, it could happen. Pausing for a second. Just from the audience, Darren, from Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba. He says, hi, Rod and Moose. Coaches knowing about players' families, etc., that's okay. But asking to see pictures is over the line. From Kirk in Toronto says, 50 mil Mike gets fired by the media. Sounds like the CBC.
How about
Kirk
that?
also says, Argos are 11-1 for the first time in their 150-year history. I know. Why is nobody talking about the fact this could be the greatest Argos team of all time? Because, Rod, I'll answer it myself, they're going to have to win a Grey Cup to earn that distinction. Rick is watching in Martinsville, and he says, Rod, you just said sponsors may pull out. Actually, I think Darren did. You did, right? Not me? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He said they pull out because too many idiots who believe anything said on TV. The truth comes out later, but it doesn't matter. That's social media for you. What a sorry world we live in. That's very fair, too. I know what you're saying. Sponsors got the Edmonton Eskimos name changed to Elks. I think if they'd had a president in there with a backbone, it would still be called the Edmonton Eskimos, but you can't go back. I get what he's saying. But I don't think the NHL would have. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you know, there's a saying, perception is reality, and it's true. It doesn't mean that perception is fact or truth, but it is. And somebody in the comments last segment said they should go to court. For what? You can go to court and prove that Mike Babcock did nothing wrong in his contract and all of that. But it doesn't mean he's going to be the head coach. You can't get pushed into it, right? If a team doesn't want you to be a head coach, you're not going to be the head coach. Doesn't matter if you were right or wrong. So if the players, if the fans are upset, if it's negative in the media, sponsors are upset, you don't want that. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I totally get where John Ohm's coming from. Believe me. Believe you me. I've had so many things happen to me in my life professionally. Darren knows what they are, and a lot of our audience do. And I've had people say, one of which was Craig Button, by the way. He could back me up on this. He's like, you need to take this to court. Craig has a law degree, and I think he's specialized in labor. You need to take this to court. You need to sue them. I've had that happen to multiple employers. And in every case, I said, why? Why? And get a few bucks out of it? I'd rather just move on and forget it. And that's probably what I would think Babs will do. By the way, our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. Just to continue on here, we have a few moments left. NHL rookie camp wrap. Can we push that to the next hour? We'll talk more hockey. I think that works good because Craig Button will join us then. College football wrap. I turned on the radio today, working out here, Moose. I brought the rower out onto the line A, and I was listening to Dan Patrick, and all they talked about was Deion Sanders and Colorado. And I got the sense that Dan Patrick isn't a fan of prime time because he said they should have beaten them by 3 touchdowns. They beat Colorado State in overtime 43-35 in the wildest game of the day. And I'm like, Dan, you're a hater. I never pegged you as a hater. You only won by 6. Should have won by 21. And he goes, Deion will get humbled. They always do. He spent 2 full segments on college and prime. FAU here got bombed at Clemson 48-14. And as Serena said, did you expect anything else? That's just college football for you. Shock of the week was Alabama only winning at USF 17-3. My good friend Matt DeBuck's kid plays for the USF, South Florida Bulls. I was going to text DeBuck and say, is this a moral victory because you only lost by 14? The spread was 30. And in Canada West football, the Regina Rams beat Calgary 23-15. Darren called it. UBC bombed Manitoba 56-10. And the Saskatchewan Huskies were upset 26-22 by the Alberta Golden Bears, who are 3-0 for the first time since Christ was a cowboy. There's my college and university football wrap. What do you got on that?
That's pretty good. The Colorado State game, obviously everybody's talking about it. That's a rivalry game, though. You can throw point spreads out the window in rivalry games. You talked about that in the Canadian Football League when it comes to Labor Day and the Banjo Bowl. So that was interesting. The other one that caught my eye, Florida State, as a top 5 team in the country, I think they were number 3, only beat Boston College by 2. That had people talking a little bit. And the other game in college, Alberta, that's big. They're 3-0, first time since 2005. But Queens took Western out east down to the wire. It was a last-second touchdown with 13 seconds left for Western, number 1 team in the country, to knock off Queens, who are going to host the Vanier Cup. So that kind of covers you coast to coast.
Well, hey, I'm slowly getting on to the college football thing. We have, the ratings show millions of new viewers now as of August 25th when we debuted on Shaw. So I was the voice of the Rough Riders for 20 years, the voice of the Regina Pats for 20 years, 15 on radio, 5 on television. I'm used to just one team. So I'm trying to learn the college football thing of all the latest things. And as you saw, I whiffed on the Titans-Chargers game. It's a lot to stay on top of. But it's like, so you win, but if you don't win by enough, that's a bad thing. But it is, because you might drop 2, 3, 4, 5 in the rankings or right out of the top 10, like Alabama does. So it's a whole other animal, and it's a big animal. And how do you eat an elephant, Darren? How do you eat an elephant, Darren?
One bite at a time.
Right. So I'm only like 10, 11 bites in. I'll see you in hour 2.
See you then.
TSN Ottawa's Claire Hanna is coming up next. We are live on the Game Plus television network all across Canada and 31 U.S. states as well. We're on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, YouTube Live, and podcast.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, collectors, register for the Premier Sports Card Convention, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. Taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. It's been a while since we've had her on. Let's bring in Claire Hanna from TSN Ottawa. And before we get to Ottawa sports, as you know, Claire, I've got a tremendous amount of respect for your journalistic acumen. So I just want your take as an observer of the Mike Babcock situation. What are your thoughts in the last
I knew
week of
you'd
what's
ask,
gone on?
Rod, I knew
Of course.
you'd ask. Oh, man. Okay, well, I was texting with somebody else in the industry about this yesterday, and I think that it's really hard to find the winners in this situation, to be honest. This might come off as controversial, but I think it's okay. And I think it's really important for a coach to get to know his athletes or her athletes. And so I think this strategy, like, you're just getting to know them. Like, photo reels are a pretty personal space for anybody. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have a hard time showing my photo reels to anybody. And I also think when you're dealing with players who make a lot of money, you want to get to know them. And I think it's okay to do some check-ins like that. But yeah, it's an invasion of privacy too. So I'm really on the fence. I've been thinking about this a lot. Is it worth, dismissing him over that? I don't know. That's the question for me. I'm wondering if it was a bit of an overreach. But then I want to say something about Paul Bissonnette's reporting. Like, yeah, he reported this story and it's correct, but what other things does Paul Bissonnette know about hockey culture, misogyny that he's not reporting? And I just think if he's going to say that story, then he should be saying a lot of other ones too.
Yeah, well, hey, welcome to 2023. It's like, who gets to pick who gets canceled and who doesn't? And I'm not even saying Babs was canceled. I don't know enough about it. I just think it's a wild story and kind of fun to watch. I can tell you what hasn't been fun to watch, and we'll get to the Senators in a second, but it's the poor Ottawa Red Blacks fans. Like, every week they're finding new ways to lose. Oh. And I just feel like they're raging. What's it like?
Yeah, well, okay, first of all, I was away for most of the summer, so I missed some of the amazing comebacks that Dustin Crum led, the quarterback, against Winnipeg. Like, I feel bad. I missed some of their thrilling overtime victories. So I've been back. I've covered 2 of their matches, the one against Hamilton where they lost. In that one, they had a chance possibly on the final drive, but the one in BC was such a heartbreaker. Up 19 points in the fourth quarter, and you let that one go. That's tough. You got to give a lot of credit to BC because they never gave up. They thought in the back of their minds, okay, this is a CFL, anything can happen. But if I'm on the Ottawa Red Blacks, I'm heartbroken because I'm looking at the record. I'm thinking about how many just such close games they've played and that they've lost by a single possession. And that one is really the dagger to the heart. So, this is a team that had promise. They've gone through 4 quarterbacks. It's never easy to find chemistry when you've got that kind of a rotating cycle, Rod, as you've seen in this industry, in this league, sorry. So I think they tried to do what they could, but this one's going to sting.
Yeah, well, I think that, you just got to look as far as Edmonton with what's gone on there. They went from being blown out to close games, losing, and now winning. That's the track that I see Ottawa on. So the fans are just going to have to be paid. They're not getting blown out anymore. They're still losing, but at least they're close games. That's progress in my mind, which takes me to the Senators. They haven't made the playoffs since I don't know when. Are they going to this year?
6 seasons. I'll tell you.
Okay. That's a long time.
Yeah.
So how's that going over? It's like you don't want to talk about it, is the sense I get.
I was waiting for the question. How's it going?
Yeah.
Well, I think
what's the mood there?
Fan base that's also been patient, but I think the patience is wearing thin because 6 years is a long time to be in a rebuild. But here's the thing, like, Rod, this is such an exciting group of kids. And I say kids because Tim Stützle, I think he's 21 years old. He led their team with 90 points last year. Brady Tkachuk is, I think, 24, 25. Josh Norris, if he's healthy, he's young. Jake Sanderson, who they just signed. Like, this group has so many young, I don't want to say promising players because they're already starting to deliver and they're at such a young age category that there's really nowhere for this group to go but up. And so I don't want to throw around the word playoffs because that's a scary expectation to place on a team. And I don't think they're going to be talking about that. But we did see Brady Tkachuk, the captain, at the end of last season say, I am sick and tired of not playing at the end of April. I never want this to happen again. So you know that is really what they're aiming for this season. And I mean, they've put up some exciting hockey these past 2 years. They've had slumps which have really devastated this fan base, especially in November. If they can figure out how to put some wins together in November, I think that's going to set them up for success down the end and just keep this fan base really into it. But they've just been a pretty fun group to watch, and I think they're only going to get more interesting.
Well, I think we're seeing with the NFL's Washington Commanders what an ownership change can do. The Commanders are 2-0, and who knows if they'll continue on that road, but a breath of fresh air can mean a lot in an organization. Is it too early to sense that the Sens are getting a breath of fresh air with the ownership change there?
Well, I think you saw just the fact that they jumped to sign Jake Sanderson to that, a contract extension, 8 years. I don't know if you would have seen that in the old ownership group, and I don't want to speak a lot to that ownership group because I don't have a lot of experience with them. We haven't met Michael Andlauer officially as media. We're anticipating that's going to be happening, sometime soon, that he will, be officially named the new owner of the Ottawa Senators. But I think that this is a team now that's is going to be a cap team. Before they were always making sure they spent enough to reach the cap or to the minimum cap, but now they're flirting with the top. They've only got $900,000 worth of space. They still need to sign Shane Pinto, so they're probably going to have to free up some cap space to do that. I don't see them letting a young forward like that go. He's probably in the bottom six, but he's played in the top six before. He's just a key part to their depth as a center. But yeah, I think you're seeing already the shift in that this is a team that's going to spend money to be great.
Hey, we have about a minute. Over your shoulder, is that a Jason Robbins painting? And what's the story behind it, please? He's my favorite artist in the world. Yeah.
Yes, Rod, you're so good. It is. I actually had this commissioned when I left Saskatchewan for Ottawa, and I sent him a whole bunch of photos of my favorite places in Regina, some of my favorite events that I'd covered. You'll probably see there's some like Briar up there. There's the CP Women's Open. There's Mosaic Stadium, and it's just a big mosaic of everything. I'm so happy you noticed that, Rod. I love Jason Robbins, and he did a great job.
He's the greatest artist I've ever seen. He's the best and a wonderful person. So I'm glad I asked. Hey, I'm glad everything's going so great. Claire, keep it up. We're watching all the time. Thanks for the time today.
I miss you guys. I hope everything's well, Rod.
We miss you too. Thank you. TSN Ottawa's Claire Hanna checking in from the nation's capital. We have Open Line next and a sports update. We are live from South Florida on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, YouTube Live and podcast.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Is it just me, or has this show just flown by? Because I got so much I want to say. I feel like I've been listening to everybody else all show. I want to talk. I appreciate those chiming in. Colin in Ottawa writes in and says, we haven't made the playoffs since 2017, Roddy. Thanks for that. In one of our recent rating reports, Ottawa was our second highest city for viewership. I don't know why, but I love it. Thank you, Ottawa. I love this one. T. Will in Winnipeg says, I'm a big Claire Hanna fan, but she needs to start covering Winnipeg sports. Yeah, but she's in Ottawa, so that's like somebody in Ottawa saying, why am I having a brain fart? Clark, who was the Sarah Orlesky? Sorry. Why doesn't Sarah Orlesky cover Ottawa sport? Because she's in Winnipeg, brah. Allie in Texarkana says, it has flown by, Rod. I agree. But I said open lines. I probably won't stay with that phrase, but I just meant audience takeover because it's so much fun to hear from the audience. It really is. this is the most interactive show on television or radio, and it will stay that way. And I'll get to a sports update here in a second, but on the Mike Babcock thing, like Clark said, it's close to 50-50 on the poll. Our poll question today, should Mike Babcock have had to resign as coach of Columbus? Twitter, it's like over 70% yes, he should. But on YouTube, it's more 50-50. And what do you got? Yeah, I heard you. Did you just hit your button? Clark? Oh, okay. Well, I heard you. Anyways, Mike is from Saskatchewan, so Babcock, you can imagine there's a lot of pro-Babcock support in Saskatchewan. And people are writing me going, but he did this, and this. And as I've learned the hard way, doing good or doing right doesn't cancel out doing wrong. And you know me. If you've been following this show or me long enough, I like to pick a side and I stay there. I guess my point is simply this on the Babcock thing. If he's guilty of what he's been accused of, he deserves to lose his job. Because it really seems to me that anything that caused him to get fired in Toronto or the ill will there, he hasn't learned his lesson nor changed. I thought it would be a different Mike Babcock in Columbus, and it turns out it's the same guy. Therefore, he's probably got to go. Hasn't apologized for anything. Sports update, the Toronto Blue Jays have today off after a 3-game sweep of the Boston Red Sox, but it's put them back in a wild card spot. Toronto now holds the second American League wild card. They open a series at New York Tuesday night. The American League East leading Baltimore Orioles are 93-56 for a winning percentage of .624 heading into a game tonight at Houston. 2 years ago, they were .321. How about that? The New York Giants are the only team in baseball history to improve their winning percentage by 300 or more within 2 seasons. That was way back in 1902 to 04. Monday Night Football will feature 2 games. Tonight, the New Orleans Saints and Cleveland Browns will both try to improve to 2-0. Saints visit the Carolina Panthers while the Browns play the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The Panthers and Steelers are both 0-1. Sports updates for Common Crown Brewing Company, everybody. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. So next hour, we did a lot of football this hour. Next hour, a lot of hockey. More on Babcock, obviously. Craig Button's going to be with us from TSN. The Moose will rejoin us. And whatever football you want to sprinkle in, we can. You football fans, don't be turning off your sets. But I want to go through Bedard's hat trick for Chicago, the NHL rookie tournament that I was able to participate in or witness on the weekend here in Florida. We have a lot of fun coming up next hour. Stick around after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
No. So this was my weekend, by the way. This is why I'm so happy. I bought goalie equipment from Canadian Tire, street hockey gear.
The one question I have, were you playing with a rubber puck at least?
No, of course not.
You had street hockey pads on and no protection other than
I wasn't even wearing a can.
How about that?
And I went, stacked my pads. I'm like, whoa, I got nothing on down here. I never thought that I would be leaving my pins. Seriously.
Wow.
And no mask.
Talk about putting them on the table.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Hour 2 coming in hot, literally live from South Florida here on your favorite daytime sports talk show. That's where I'm at. Darren Moose DuPont is at Candle Lake, Saskatchewan, which is just across the highway from Mike Babcock's semi-hometown of Emma Lake. See what I did there, Moose? Yeah. Lot going on. They say this is not the best time of year in sports because there's too much going on. If you could sit down and just focus on one thing, it would be okay. But there's a lot going on. You got NFL, obviously, CFL home stretches on, college football's wild. I see FAU just sending me a notification. They just lost their starting quarterback, Casey Thompson, for the year with a torn ACL. NHL, hockey going, baseball on the stretch drive. It's insane. It's great for a show like this, but a lot to stay on top of. And just for the benefit of those that have just tuned in for hour 2, we covered all of that, by the way, in hour 1. TS in Ottawa's Claire Hanna was with us. But the real big topic today is Mike Babcock. And I got a couple things. You heard the intro coming out there, Darren, with you didn't get to meet the Dodge kids when you were down here in South Florida, but we have a lot of hockey friends, 4 hockey-playing boys from the Dodge family. They love hearing stories about Canada, and the intro of the show this hour was about that, playing outdoor hockey with no can and those pads I bought from Canadian Tire. and they on an outdoor rink, and they're just like, do you think you would ever know what an outdoor rink was growing up in Florida? They just seen photos or heard stories. Shoot, people in Vancouver have never had an outdoor rink. Like, it's Canada is this Narnia fairy tale land of, frozen ponds, and yeah, it's exactly that, but better. So hockey still is talked about down here. I'm not sure that they're real big on the Babcock story for our U.S. listeners. They really love our Cats and Bolts podcast, which we fired up last week. It's going over very well. We cover the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning weekly. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Serena and I do that. But we have a lot to get to here. Quite the opening ramble by me. But with Mike Babcock stepping down Sunday, resigning as the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. You want to talk about a crappy franchise, by the way? Babs never even coached a game, and he's in their top 10 all time for winningest coaches. How about that? I saw that today. Did you see that? He is the 10th winningest coach in Columbus Blue Jackets history.
Oh, no.
And never won a game. He's got a higher winning percentage than the guy that went 0-2 in a fill-in basis. Anyways, Enor writes in on the streaming, as we're in open line, and says, Rod, not that it really matters, but does Babcock get paid for resigning for the next 2 years? That's a toughie. You'd have to talk to his agent if he has one, or a legal labor analyst, but I would suggest it's not an open and shut yes or no. My guess is Babs is looking into this. My guess is, as a guy that's been fired a couple of times, I have some experience on this. But if he was found to have had conduct detrimental to the franchise or reasonable grounds for dismissal, he probably wouldn't get that much. He didn't, let's be honest, he didn't resign.
No.
What do you think? Is he getting some money out of this or not?
Yeah, he's going to get his contract paid out. This is my guess. Again, I'm not on the inside here. I'm not a journalist or reporting on this. But, yeah, he resigned. I mean, he wasn't fired. What do they say? Mutually agreed to navigate through his resignation, which means the mutually agreed upon part is, okay, I'll resign. You're going to pay out 50% of this contract, and we're just going to go our separate ways. That's what the agreement would be, whatever the dollar figure is. It wouldn't just be I'm resigning and rip up the contract and I'll see you later, pay me for, the 2 months I was working and call it a day. That's not how it would go down. So the money stuff will get sorted out.
Believe it or not, I'm sure there's a lot of people that have just turned on their television sets on Game Plus or their radio, WQEE, going, what happened to Babcock? He resigned Sunday. Mike Babcock, the two-time Olympic gold medal winning hockey head coach and Stanley Cup champion, because the players were upset of invasion of privacy. He asked to see their phones and their photos from the summer. I think I have read that right. And Spittin' Chicklets podcast host Paul Bissonnette uncovered this dastardly story. And by the way, I shouldn't be facetious because a man lost his job over this. It's not a funny situation, but it is very strange. And that's it. And Babs is out. So, and I ended hour one by saying this, because I do want to take a little bit of a tour around the NHL rookie camps here in a second. But you being more of a Saskatchewan Husky guy than me and more of a Saskatoon guy than me, although we've both lived there, which is Babs' hometown, he's beloved by a lot of people in Saskatchewan. I'll add, he's reviled by a lot of people in Saskatchewan too, but more so loved. Mike Babcock, there's a lot of people just fighting mad that he got canceled, and this is BS, and Biznasty should never be on the air and have a podcast at all after this. Like, he's got a lot of support, Babs, right? That's the other thing, people, in his home province.
Yeah, he does. And it's generally with an old school audience, which that's important to remember. But times have changed, and you just can't do these things anymore. The old school guys, I mean, this is how you're tough on people, but you need to have patience to see the whole plan through, or the whole plan doesn't work. That old school, tough on you, hard with rules and, outside the box stuff, it doesn't work on day one. You see the results of that on day 150 or day 200. So if you're going to hire an old school coach, you need to see that but I don't know if you can go that way these days because, the players, like we've seen, don't respond to this anymore the way that they used to. So the old playbook isn't going to work in today's game.
Right, and those that have figured it out, and I'll give you a few names: John Cooper, Paul Maurice, Jared Bednar, all recent Stanley Cup winning coaches. Jay Woodcroft's got a great team in Edmonton. There are guys that have figured this out, but there's a lot of guys that have not figured this out. And I would suggest Mike Babcock is one of those guys. And, an interesting topic about this is, and why I realize now, we're all where we're supposed to be. Everything happens for a reason. I can sit here and talk about hockey and football all day because I'm fluent in both of Canada's official languages, hockey and football. And we're finally, I love, and I said it on Edmonton radio last week, I'm very proud of my time in the Canadian Football League. But I'm not football first. And it would be a shame, Moose, to deprive the world of my hockey knowledge. Now, a couple phrases that I hate. One is perception's reality. You brought it up in the morning meeting. I freaking can't stand the phrase perception's reality. And let me explain why in this case. I feel like to the average Susie Q public, they're making Mike Babcock out to be Satan. And I don't believe he's that. He represents a very large group of hockey coaches that are old school. I don't want to use the N-word, narcissist. I don't know him well enough. But I do know he's one of those old school hockey guys that I've been around my whole entire life that I haven't really liked. They love their family. They're great to their kids. They're not mean to everybody. But you don't want to play for. There's a lot of those guys. There's a lot of guys skating home free that have done way worse things than Mike Babcock. I don't understand why he's the villain. That's the one thing. And when I say perception, I say reality's reality, not perception's reality. The guy that used to work for us, they used to always say, perception's reality, Rod. No, it's not. Reality's reality. The other phrase that I hate is potential. And that comes from the hockey people. We can sit and talk about how much potential a kid has as a player, but it doesn't mean jack squat if they don't do anything with it. Oh, my God. I'm going to work myself into a rant with the word potential. Although when that potential starts to be realized and you see the talent meet the work ethic, now we're getting somewhere. So those are two phrases that I hate. So anyways, I am ready to move on to the rookie camps, unless you have any more other points on Babs.
Let's go. I'm excited to hear how the weekend was.
Okay, thanks. I see Jeff, the Stamps fan, writing, and he goes, why do I keep getting interrupted with ads on the RP show? He's watching on YouTube. It's a new thing. They're just dropping in ads all the time now on the live YouTube feed. It's a new thing. Robin in Prince Albert, by the way, says, we are in a society where you are guilty until proven innocent in the world of social media. That's why I think everybody's so scared now to be a public figure, because you say one wrong thing and you could be canceled. I get it. I'm not worried about that. I've been canceled. I've survived, and it actually gets better. But I get why everybody's so worried. And it is 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. So for everybody, and I would include Mike Babcock, envision a positive outcome of any quagmire you're in. You guys there? Did we hit it? 1:11? Doesn't sound like it. How was it? Thanks.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're all writing in with the Babcock questions, and I see they've written in Mike Keenan too. Because I'm not totally done on this, but I did. Okay, I'll talk about rookie camps, and we'll come back to Babs. Because it's the biggest topic in Canadian sports right now, and for sure the NHL. The rookie camp here is what it was. Hurricanes, Lightning, Predators, Panthers. In Estero, Florida. It was awesome. Beautiful rink. If I was designing a rink, and I don't know how old it is, it's not very old. Certainly got to be less than 10 years. Hertz Arena. I heard it holds 8,300, but I don't think it's that big. But it's got elevators, a couple restaurants, luxury suites. The press boxes were good. We were treated like $1 million, like I always am by the Florida Panthers. Why do you think I love it here so much? Get treated great. The hockey was fantastic, but nobody really knows what was going on. Like, there was fans of almost every team there. They're just Floridians that love the NHL. Thought they'd come. It was free to watch. And I didn't really know who the rosters were going to be. Serena spent far more time perusing the rosters than I did. And she's pointing out guys from here, like the Lynn kid, Kalen Lynn from Shaunavon. I'm like, oh, I met his mom and dad. He's got older brothers that all played in the dub. Josh Davies for the Panthers, prospect, played for the Swift Current Broncos. It was really good hockey. Most people in the arena didn't know who the players were because I largely didn't. But it was good hockey, and it was fun to watch. I think the big story coming out of the weekend, I think you would attest, is that Connor Bedard potted 3 for Chicago against St. Louis. You know it's a big deal when my brother's sending me a reel of one of the goals by Bedard. So he's doing Bedard things. He's never going to ever be able to impress Serena because I said, hey, Bedard had a hattie the other night. And she's like, well, of course, because blah, 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 blah. He's got a lot to do to impress her. But 3 goals in a rookie scrimmage for Connor Bedard ain't nothing to sneeze at. What do you think?
It's not. And I also saw Adam Fantilli put up a hat trick in Columbus's rookie tournament.
Yeah.
So that's good too. I wondered how he would adjust to the next level more than Bedard. So it's good. I think a good little rookie rivalry could be fun.
But as I said in my 10 things column, rookie tournaments are like puppy love. Puppy love's only taken seriously by the puppies. Rookie tournaments largely are only taken seriously by the rookies and their parents. Because I texted some scouts of the teams that were there, because I missed who Kalen Lynn was fighting. So I texted one scout. He's like, I'm not even there. I'm skipping rookie tournaments. Oh, thought you were here. You know what?
Yeah.
I think if you look at these rookie rosters and go back one day and say, how many of the guys that played in this tournament in Estero this weekend would ever go on to play an NHL game, it's a very small amount. Although I think Kalen Lynn, Red Deer Rebels product, will have a chance to at least be taken on to main camp because he's just a buzzsaw type player. But anyways, John says, where's story time? Here's my story. I got to stay away from the comments. The announcer really didn't have a clue what was going, but that's fine. Now, he was a South Florida older guy, hockey clearly not his thing, right? So he was like, please welcome to the ice, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'm sitting there going, it's not really the Tampa Bay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're wearing their game jerseys, at least. I see the Leafs were wearing their practice jerseys because that's such a Leaf thing that they would do that. But it reminded me of Bradenton, Florida one time, and I think I've told you this story before, but we had a Rider rookie camp. It was like 150 guys come and paid $100 to try out for the Rough Riders, and Gordy, the equipment manager, brought down 150 Rider helmets and green shorts and T-shirts for these guys. So, you know, there was beer truck drivers trying out for the Rough Riders that day. Not that I have anything against beer delivery truck drivers, but you know what I mean. And they're running onto the field with Rider helmets and green shorts, mesh shorts, and white T-shirts, maybe practice jerseys. And this guy pulled up his Ford truck. It kind of looked like the truck that Walton Goggins drove in Justified, old Ford truck. I know that doesn't mean anything to you, but it will mean something to people that know what I'm talking about. They let you drive your vehicles right up to the field and watch. So the guy sat there, and he was a Rider fan, and he saw these guys jog onto the field in their Rider helmets, and he was like, you could just tell he was so excited. And I was going to go walk up to his window and go, they're not really the whatever. Enjoy. These are 150 guys that are going to be working in the Chrysler plant tomorrow. You know, but whatever. You think you're watching the Rough Riders. So that's kind of what the rookie tournament was. You thought you were watching the Predators and the Hurricanes. You weren't really. But at least the popcorn was good.
Yeah.
As Allie in Texarkana says, it means something to me. Sure, if you're a diehard, it really did. But I guess my point is go back and look at these rookie camp rosters in 3 years. Just save them and tell me if they ever play an NHL game, and I'll tell you over 90% of them don't. Doesn't mean it wasn't a big deal, but it doesn't mean it was a big deal either. Okay, we'll be back with all kinds of things. Open line, plus Craig Button of TSN coming up. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, YouTube Live, and podcast.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, collectors, register for the premier sports card convention where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items, taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.com. RP Show continues on this Monday. We are pleased to welcome in TSN's Craig Button. It's been far too long. Good to see you, Craig. And hey, before we jump into the Bab stuff, would you mind answering this? How seriously should fans take rookie tournament results in the National Hockey League?
What I would say is take it as a measure of where these players' talent and potential may lead them to in the future. That future is not now. Okay, so Connor Bedard, it's different. Adam Fantilli, it's different. But for the overwhelming majority of these young players, it's all about the future. And that future's 2, 3, 4 years down the road. And, you know, it's exciting to watch all these players. It's exciting to watch the players show what they may be able to do once they get to the NHL, but it's a long way off. So, you know, a player that doesn't play well, no big deal. A player that does play really well, be excited about it. It doesn't mean that they won't be good, but just keep it all in context. And, you know, we see, Rod, so much more attention paid to the young players. There's a real interest in what they're doing, which is a real positive. But their future is years away. It's not today.
Yeah, I sat in Estero, Florida in the crowd with one player that was hurt for Tampa, and he was just, you don't want to miss him if you're hurt. Like, you want to be out there. But the other thing, too, was we were looking at the roster. There's one kid was an 05. I'm like, oh, my God. Curtis Hunt said it, Craig. We get older and the players stay the same age. When did that dawn on you? When did you have that realization?
I don't know. Like, you know, I started a little bit younger, but, you know, when you start thinking about it, it's when I would talk to players, and they would ask me at times, like, is there any player that you would compare me to? And I would mention a player and their eyes would be rolling around and I would go, oops. Like that, they were 2 years old when that player was playing. They don't know that player. I think it was that reality where I said, I better fast forward my thinking. But one of the great things is, and to Curtis Hunt's point, one of the great things about being around young people and young players with respect to hockey is they keep you young. They keep you current about what's going on, whether it be in music or style or, you know, fashion, whatever it may be. And that in and of itself is exciting. You can't be them because youth is something that's long gone for us. But that doesn't mean we can't be youthful in our enthusiasm, we can't be youthful in our thoughts, and that we can't be current. And I think that that's something that's really, really, really important.
No doubt about that. Well, hey, a few years ago, Pats had a morning skate in Swift Current, Regina Pats, and John Paddock brought in Tiger Williams to talk to the team. He lives outside Swift Current. The players were like, who is this guy? Ranting and raving. You can just imagine how that went over. Anyways, I'm really fascinated to get your take on the Mike Babcock situation because everybody seems to have a different take. What's yours, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay, so it's fine to have a different take. You know, the bottom line is that Mike, through his actions, demonstrated that he's learned very little since he was let go from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And what I would say, I might be giving him a big benefit of the doubt by saying he's learned very little. I would say he has learned nothing. And when I read his comment about how he was going to be a distraction, there's no acknowledgement of his wrongdoing. There's no apology for what he did. And that, to me, is a clear demonstration of somebody that doesn't understand, doesn't want to understand his impact and the way that he has treated players. It's wrong. There's no other way to put it. And at the end of the day, what I say is good riddance to Mike Babcock. If you want to try to improve, you want to be apologetic, we will wait and judge that down the road. But at this point in time, on this day, Monday, September 18th, there has been no growth in Mike Babcock, and I'm not so sure that he even wants to acknowledge his wrongdoings, and that's on him. But all I can say is good riddance. Good riddance.
And I'll say bingo, because I've known him a long time, as have you, and I was surprised Columbus hired him, but I thought I'm all for second, third, fourth chances. I've gotten them, but like you just said, up to his old tricks. Yeah, that's what happened here.
So you talk about, I'm all for second chances too. You know, we cannot expect everybody not to make mistakes. And depending on what the mistake is, will determine, what the consequence is, what you have to do to show that you deserve a second chance. And those are all real positives. People talk about cancel culture. Okay, so it's a nice term, right? Well, Howard Cosell, one of the great broadcasters of all time, got removed, canceled, way back when because of really, really ignorant comments he made on national broadcast. This isn't something new. And, I find myself, Rod, with people say, oh, cancel culture. It's not cancel culture. It's about making sure that your culture is right. And I'm going to extend this. The ownership of the Columbus Blue Jackets, John Davidson and Jarmo Kekalainen, they deserve a lot of scrutiny for what unfolded. Jarmo Kekalainen thanking Mike Babcock, appreciating his work and his effort. What? You're talking about trying to become a team, and you use all these words. Oh yeah, we want to be better. We want to move in and forward. We've examined everything. You better start examining your own actions, because forget about the hiring. Okay, we could go through that, and again, I'm on for second chances. After he's resigned because of wrongdoings, and a lot of them haven't even been made public yet. The bottom line is, when are you going to be accountable as an organization? Leadership starts from the top. They have also failed.
Bingo. There you go. And just look where they finished last year. It's look at the record. The record is what you are. So anyways, if you have any more on that, jump in. If not, like you, I've been on a lot of shows. I've been asked, who are some other rookies besides Connor Bedard that we should be on the lookout for this year? And I'm like, I don't know how many are going to crack lineups like Connor Bedard will, but who are some of the names, and I guess they don't have to be raw 18-year-olds, but who are some of the rookies that you have your eye on this year that could challenge for the Calder?
Well, I think you have to include Adam Fantilli in that. I mean, he won the Hobey Baker as a true freshman player at the University of Michigan last year. That in and of itself is a significant accomplishment. It signifies that he dominated his level of play. He's mature physically, and certainly the NHL is a significant step up. But I don't think you can exclude Adam Fantilli from that discussion. Matthew Nyes, who played at the University of Minnesota, turning pro last year in the playoffs with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's another player you're going to have to really pay attention to. He's a really good, strong. He reminds me of Alex Killorn of the Tampa Bay Lightning. You said you were watching some rookie tournament at the Florida Panthers. Oh no, you're in Estero, so that's down in Fort Myers. And, you start to look at where a player like him can go playing with somebody like Matthews or a Tavares. Brock Faber, Matthew Nyes' teammate at the University of Minnesota, he got traded to Minnesota in the Kevin Fiala trade. Brock Faber is a really, really good defender, really strong player that I feel can make a real big difference for the Minnesota Wild. They need entry-level players, not just for the contract. They need entry-level players that can contribute. Brock Faber, to me, is there. And certainly, there's some other players, Tyson Forster, who had a little bit of injury, Philadelphia Flyers first-round pick a couple of years ago. He's got some real promise. So, those are 5 players. They're not the only 5 players, but I think they're 5 players that I think you can start off by, tracking their progress and seeing where they head and where they go. Oh, and probably I would say the biggest challenger for Connor Bedard in the Rookie of the Year race is Logan Cooley of the Arizona Coyotes. Another former University of Minnesota Golden Gopher, dominated college hockey, dominated the World Junior in his age group. So, those are 6 players that are pretty, I think they're ready for the NHL. And I think that they can show very well in their first year and certainly be in the conversation as amongst the best rookies. Listen, I'm putting all my chips, well, maybe not all my chips, but if I have 100 chips, I'm putting 98 of them on Mr. Connor Bedard.
How about that?
He looked okay on the weekend. But, the thing with Logan Cooley, I feel sorry for the kid. And listen, I've gotten to be good friends with Jeff Chikrin down here, Jacob's dad. We've talked a lot about Arizona. They love the city, but when is it going to be a franchise that's not where careers go to die? Like, Craig, come on.
Well, you're right, and to Jeff's point, he watched it firsthand with Jacob, and the change in ownership, the change in management, coaching. It was a carousel. The current owner, I really believe, is fully invested in trying to ensure that the Arizona Coyotes can become a real stable team in the marketplace and in the NHL. He's got a plan for a new arena. Obviously, it got defeated in a plebiscite, but at the same time, he's forging forward. And you look at Bill Armstrong, he's been given a contract extension. Andre Tourigny has been given a contract extension. There's not this turnover. There's not this constant turnover. There's symmetry, there's continuity, and it has to start there, Rod. If it doesn't start there, then the rest of it doesn't matter how much money you have or how great your arena is. The rest of it becomes a lot more challenging to achieve. And I think that the Arizona Coyotes are really on the right track. Their actions are going to speak louder than their words, but they got a lot of really good talent in there. And now this is an opportunity. What I really hope ends up happening is that finally, with the ownership trying to make sure that they can get an arena, a significant arena built, and then the team moving forward with their young players, that can intersect, whether that be in 2 years or 3 years' time, where you can look and go, oh, okay, finally they've been able to establish themselves. But it's not there this year, but it's certainly something that I think is a real possibility. And it starts with the stability in ownership, management, and coaching.
And to be clear, it was my words, not Jeff Chikrin's, where careers go to die. They got nothing but great things to say about the Valley, of course, but it's a chicken and the egg thing. As long as they're going to be last, which they probably will this year, why would anybody buy a ticket to go watch? Right? The fans there say you've been terrible forever. So, right, it's a chicken and the egg. And I will just leave you with this because your phone's going off. You're the busiest guy in show business. Watch out for Nash. Okay. Well, I'll say this.
What about Deion Sanders? Look at the Deion Sanders effect in Boulder, Colorado. Just think about that.
Can he go coach the Coyotes?
Well, but what he did is he said, listen, you know what? We're not going to ask you to come and buy tickets. We're gonna put a product on the field that's going to make you want to buy tickets. I think they said, I was reading, now I'm close here. I think they said last year the average ticket price to go to a Colorado Buffaloes game was $120. And this year, right now, it's already over $400. Why is that? To your exact point, Rod, you do know, okay? If you go to the grocery store, okay, and the fruits and vegetables are rotten, you might put up with it for a week. You go back the next week and the fruits and vegetables are rotten again, you're not going to start thinking about going to another grocery store. And that's sports. And so for the Arizona Coyotes, this is what it's going to take. But you're right, a chicken and egg. But again, it starts at the top. I mean, remember, I started talking about leadership starts at the top when we were talking about the Columbus fiasco with Babcock. Well, it also starts at the top everywhere, and it certainly starts at the top with the Arizona Coyotes. But I see symmetry, and I think that's really important for them to ultimately have success.
Continuity. Well, I had heard this morning down here in South Florida that Deion was making $30 million a year, and I never thought about it. I just Googled it. He is. And the story behind that is they didn't even have $30 million. They said, well, we'll give you a $30 million contract. We'll make the money because you're going to win. And we're going to sell the tickets. And they did it. Oh, my God, does that take balls. Craig, thank you for this. I appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.
When are you back in Calgary? Tell me.
Not till it'll be a while, my friend. It'll be a while. So keep an eye on it for me.
Everybody in the north goes down and calls us snowbirds. What do you call yourself? Our dear late friend Brad McCrimmon talked about the geese. The geese fly south in the winter. They come north in the summer. You do reverse. So what would we call you?
Yeah, lucky.
How about that?
Thanks, Craig.
We'll see you in Calgary. We'll talk soon.
You bet. TSN's Craig Button joining us for a fabulous conversation. We'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover in a moment. We are live across Canada on the Game Plus television network, 31 U.S. states, on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, podcast and YouTube Live.
Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, welcome back. Did you say we got moose again? Did you say we had the moose? I apologize. I wasn't paying attention. I was reading viewer comments. Thank you. Let's bring the moose in. I'm here in South Florida. He's in Tirana. I like this. John says, Rod Lucky Pedersen. What do you call a turkey after Thanksgiving? Lucky. That might be a good nickname. Interestingly enough, Lucky Whitehead of the BC Lions' real name is Rodney. So, it's taken. It's taken. But yes, I'm very fortunate, and I know it every day, to be here in South Florida talking sports. It's a dream. Ryan in Toronto writing in Moose, he says, this has been the spiciest episode in a while, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Hot damn.
Ted in Red Deer says, two great guests in Claire and Craig. A bunch of great stories and even a mini rant or two. What a great way to start the week, RP Show. Thank you, Ted in Red Deer. Were you paying attention to what Craig just said? How about Babcock?
Yeah, a little bit.
What'd you think?
Out here, but I mean, Craig's a hockey guy, and I think when you look around the hockey world right now, you see not a lot of pushback on Babcock resigning from inside the hockey world. You see it from the fans, You see it from, people who aren't in the game, but I think from people in the game and closely connected to the game, they kind of sit there and say, yeah, this is going to happen, and everybody in the game, you pulled off a great list. And I want to let you know that I've cut it already, and it'll go up on our pages. You put off the list of the John Coopers and those guys, the Jared Bednars, who have adapted and grown with the game of hockey. If you're in the game today, it's because you're evolving as the game's evolving. Whether you like it or not, you're not going to change the entire game by yourself. So you need to adapt or die.
Well, thanks for that. And, Craig Button absolutely lambasted Mike Babcock. And I can't wait to pull that clip. Make a meme out of it. Good riddance, Mike Babcock. And it's not easy for Craig to say these things because, as you just said, he's a hockey guy. The one thing about Craig Button is, and here's a little secret because he figured it out before I did, he told me he's not interested in working in the NHL again in terms of a management role. So it makes, at the last I talked to him about it, he wasn't interested. So it makes his job at TSN a lot easier. I'm not looking for a job in a Canadian sports league or really in American sports. This is my job. It makes it a lot easier. Do you know what I'm saying? So Craig doesn't have to worry about who it's like Rex Ryan. You've said that. He's like your new favorite analyst on Get Up. He doesn't ever want to work in the NFL again. So he can say whatever the hell he wants. Are you seeing that out of Rex?
Yeah, big time. You see it out of Rex. You see it out of guys like Dan Orlovsky's really good at it. You can sit back and to be honest, that is being in the league. When you're an analyst and you're close with the guys and with the people in the league and you can talk about it every day, you're in the league. We're in the league. It doesn't mean you're going to work for the league or for the teams. And it does. It makes it a lot easier to do your job the way you need to do it.
Well, you helped me out a long time ago about this. Like, I'm in an NHL arena once the season starts 2-3 times a week. That's where I want to be. So I'm working in the NHL. I spent the weekend at a rookie tournament. I don't need to be calling play-by-play. And quite frankly, you know me as well as anybody almost, except for maybe Serena. But that was Mark Stiles when we were in Calgary. He's like, come on, you miss being in Mosaic Stadium. Come on, you miss. No, I don't. And stop telling me how I feel. Because I can still get the vibe in the arena. I don't need to be on the air talking about it. And plus, I can leave with 5 minutes to go. I don't got to sit there on the air for 2 hours after the game. But that's it for another time. But thank you for pointing that out. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. Randy in Winnipeg says, by the way, there's more to the story than looking at picks. Craig alluded to that, if you were listening. He's like, there's more that hasn't come out. He said that. Ryan O'Radio says, another great RP show. Thank you, Ryan O'Radio. Everybody's writing in saying how great the show's, and we still got another 14 minutes, everybody, so just slow your roll. And we fly so fast through the warm-up and the quick six, we didn't have enough time. It's interesting that Craig Button brought up Deion Sanders. And just so you know, man, we'll go a little longer on this segment, but it's going to carry over into overtime if you're interested in staying with me, that he would bring up Deion Sanders. People need to understand there's a reason presidents jump from NHL to NFL, the NBA. Team presidents, guys that have had success and won champions. The guy running the Vegas Golden Knights won one, maybe 2 NBA titles with Cleveland. One for sure. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not about the sport. It's about the concepts. You understand this. I just wonder how many other people do. And it's the same for broadcasters. I can go from sport to sport to sport because I'm good at what I do. You can too. You do it. But look at Deion Sanders. What's his stock right now? Like, it's driving me nuts. Deion Sanders had to say this weekend he doesn't want to coach in the NFL. And people are like, what do you mean he doesn't want to coach in the NFL? He's making $30 million a year with the NCAA Colorado Buff. He's the highest paid coach in football anywhere. He's happy. What does that say to you? You, Darren, what does that say to you?
He's much pub and brand and FaceTime as anybody in the National Football League, or, you know, it's you go where you're happy. He's so self-aware about where his value is and about how he can affect life and culture and the game of football. It's crazy. On the other side, I just thought it was so interesting because I watched college, and everybody said, when talking about the head coach of Colorado State, who out and said, wear sunglasses, I take my glasses off, and I put my hood down when I talk. That's what my mom taught me. And everybody jumped on him saying, don't poke the bear. You've made a huge mistake. They're going to kill you now. And they didn't. He knew what he would get his team fired up to play a game, and it was what a rivalry.
We're going to let him go. Moose, we're going to let you go. We're going to let you go. I'll come back with overtime on my own. Everybody can give me their thoughts on this topic when we come back, or whatever you want on overtime. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says sometimes the best thing isn't the best thing for everyone. Be it betting the biggest house, proofread Nelson, or working at the highest level. Define the highest level again. So he's in the NCAA in Boulder, Colorado. It's the highest level of college football. It's all anybody's talking about. I just want to tell you, in America today in sports that I've heard, I haven't listened to everything, but everything I have listened to is about Deion Sanders, and then Craig Button brought it up. And for some reason, this guy's got haters, even though he's successful. I don't get it. We'll be right back with OT in a moment on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven,
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, welcome back for Overtime, everybody. It's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes, where skill and fun collide. 28th Street Northeast in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. As I call it, an amusement park for hockey players. Carlos in Indianapolis writes, and he says, glad to sit at the biggest coffee table in sports for these past 2 hours once again. Carlos, we're glad to have you. It's been a hell of a start to the week, as everybody's been writing in, and that's because of the guests and what they had to say. Craig Button and Claire Hanna, they brought the fire. It is the Rod Pedersen Show, but I'll tell you what, the second I start to think it's because of anything I did, we got big problems. Wonderful production today by the guys at IKS, and Clark lined up the guests, and it's so much fun. I love it so much. And it's like this Dion Prime Sanders thing and what he's doing. Jersey Jim is watching right now, where we're carried on Altus Cable in New Jersey, and he says, Dion has made Colorado relevant for the first time since the 1990s. This team was not even on the radar, dead last in the Pac-12 for years. Now every major network wants to be there. Dion is the same as he has always been. He can coach too. Hashtag Colorado Buffs. I don't know why people get turned off by Prime. He's Prime for a reason. What do we got? Hang on, everybody. Oh, a sports update. Thank you for reminding me, calling in Ottawa. Ryan in upstate New York says, I watched that 60 Minutes interview on Prime. I'm 46 years old and wanted to go sign up and play for Coach Prime. It's a vibe. It just pulls you in. It's magnetic. Don't let the haters pull you down. Well, hey, it is the Rod Pedersen Show, by the way. Like Rich in Edmonton writes, and he says, well, that view of South Florida doesn't suck. No, it doesn't. And Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says, money aside, the NFL is defined as the highest level of football. That isn't where some coaches want to be because they're happy with where they are and what they have. See, that's the point. When I left the Rough Rider job, I said, I just want to be happy because I haven't been. That's what my chiropractor said last week. You look really happy. I am. Sports update with a dozen games left in their regular season, including 6 on the road. The Toronto Blue Jays have a day off today before starting a 3-game series Tuesday night with the Yankees in New York. The Jays hold the second American League wildcard berth. The Texas Rangers, who have lost 3 in a row and are a half game behind the Jays, and a game up on Seattle, who have lost 3 straight. There are 2 games on the NFL schedule tonight. The New Orleans Saints and Cleveland Browns will attempt to improve their records to 2-0. The Saints visit the Carolina Panthers, while the Browns play the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Panthers and Steelers are both 0-1. Well, and as we've talked about here, the NHL regular season doesn't start until October 10th, but we've already had a coaching change. Mike Babcock resigned Sunday as head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets after an NHLPA Players Association investigation into his conduct Associate coach Pascal Vincent was named Babcock's replacement. The sports update is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5 Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Just swooping in and checking in the EMJ marketing text line, what they have there. What we got, Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in and says, Craig Button's hitting it on the head. Always love his perspective when he's on the Jets broadcast. He set Mike Babcock on fire when he was on here earlier, Craig Button. Very eloquent, smart guy. That Craig Button said things that I had been trying to say and could not. All I was saying was I thought he'd get a second chance in Columbus. I had advocated for it, hoped he'd change. Turns out he hasn't. It was Craig Button that took it the next step and said, good riddance, Mike Babcock. Good riddance. Woo! So when people say Babs will coach again, no. For a myriad reasons. He's not going to want to be an assistant coach. I'm sorry, the comments, I had them from the stream and then they just popped out. People were writing in here about the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We covered a lot of CFL back in hour one. I hope you read my 10 things column on the weekend about that, where I said the Roughriders, I've said it a million times, you're going to at some point realize I'm right. They're back in the 90s. They win the games they're supposed to lose and lose the games they're supposed to win. Probably going to fire the coach. The merry-go-round will continue. Nothing's going to change until the big things change. That's my Boyd Crowder imitation. Time to go watch some Justified. Great job, crew. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, on the RP Show.
Who has more fun than us?